Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of our weekly MMA talk show, Chokes and Eye Pokes. Before we go any further, if you're not already subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. Please like the video, share it far and wide, and please leave us a comment below what you like, what you don't like, and what you want to see in the upcoming episodes. As always, I'm your host, Bern. I'm joined by my co-host, Jack.
Yeah, excited. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, very good one. Very, very interesting weekend of results. We had some really good fights.
Yeah.
Some okay fights.
Big announcement as well.
Big announcement. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. UFC 289. What did you think of it overall?
Exciting card. Well, there was some snooze. So, like there was one or two snooze fests, particularly on the undercard. But the main card was entertaining enough. Like I didn't get so many predictions right.
Yeah.
The Benil, I was surprised.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, do you want to get straight into it?
No, I mean I'd actually like to hear from you because I only really got to catch the main card. So I completely missed the undercard. I didn't even see what the results were. How was the undercard? What are some? Can you remember some of the results? Or
no.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, fair. I only caught the last two, and like I don't remember the names. It was just like just a little bit underwhelming.
Really?
Yeah, like nothing too particularly remember.
That's cool. I mean, we did say we were going to preview the main card and look over the main card. So that's what we're going to do. I think we'll get into the first fight, which was Barriol versus Anders. Yeah. So Barriol versus Anders, unanimous decision, 30-27. What did you think of that fight?
Could have gone either way. I think it was just like a bit of a slugfest. Yeah, I mean, like, I think he should have won. In my opinion, I think that he did enough. It was just, it was just too much of a brawl. It was slow paced. And you, what did you think?
Yeah, I think Barriol did enough to win. I had it 29-28 actually.
Okay.
On my prediction or my scorecard.
To Barriol.
To Barriol.
Okay.
The thing is, Barriol looked a lot less skillful than Anders. Maybe it was his game plan to kind of counter punch.
Yeah.
Anders Barriol is just so much tougher.
Yeah.
So Barriol was okay to sort of trade and get his shots in, and his shots mattered more.
Yeah.
And so that was the sort of overarching thing for me. But I had it 29-28, not 30-27.
He's just so durable.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Look, Anders was trying to mix it up with the takedowns, and then going for strikes. But Barriol, especially in round one, stopped every takedown.
Yeah.
Dropped him. Had some. The second round was close. I mean, I had Anders winning the second round, and then there was a potential of a point being taken away. I'm glad a point wasn't taken away. But, in an alternate universe or things not going Barriol's way, if he loses that second round...
It's tied.
It's tied if they do. Well, no, it's tied on the rounds, yes, and then Barriol wins the third round. But if they deduct a point in the second round, it's 28-28. And that third round was also close, but I think Barriol had enough, to win.
Yeah.
The 30-27 was a little bit harsh.
Make too much sense. Yeah, I agree with you. It was very close. It was just like the big difference was just endurance. Yeah, because like what was the strike accuracy? I think it was pretty close. It was around 50%.
Yeah, it was very close. Look, the first round Barriol definitely won. He stopped all the takedowns and he dropped him. Like there's no question there. So he should have won. I mean, there's no point deduction. So yeah, close fight, but not. I wasn't too sold on Barriol, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, fair. I mean, but big night for Canada.
Yeah, big night for Canada. 2-0 and technically 3-0 if you count Charles Oliveira because they kind of adopted him.
Because they just like embraced him.
The whole week they were like going crazy for Charles Oliveira, and afterwards, I mean, they booed Benil.
Yeah,
like crazy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, maybe Charles should learn French next.
Yeah, learn some French or English. Yeah, but French definitely.
Yeah.
And then we had Daniel Ige versus Nate Landwehr. Also a unanimous decision.
Exciting fight though. I don't know if it's similar. I don't know, like unanimous. Like I do think that Dan won. But like I don't know.
Yeah, look, he dropped him. When did he almost finished him in the second round. So it was really close. But that goes to the whole 10-8 story, because if you so that could be a 10-8 if that carried on for longer.
Yeah.
I mean, even there it could have been a 10-8 because he was so close to finishing him. Like, he really, really hurt him.
Yeah.
I hurt Landwehr. But it was a close fight. On the balance of things, I think it was 30-27 was fair.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. I would have gone like 29-28, honestly.
How did you have the rounds?
I had Ige for 1 and 2, and then Landwehr for 3, actually.
Yeah, I can see that. It was very close. I mean, but in the balance of things, I think Ige won the whole thing. I think Land was a little bit reserved. A lot of fighters actually were quite reserved. I think Benil as well was a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Possibly taken by the moment.
And Aldana.
Aldana was super. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. She's just lucky that Nunes was matching her energy a little bit, except in that last round.
Yeah.
But Landwehr, I really thought, I know Ige was the favorite, but I really thought Landwehr, because of his time in Russia, his durability, and his style, I thought he had enough to win. But
and the momentum.
And the momentum, exactly. So, look, people are hyping Ige.
I think he could be a potential contender, honestly. I think that that showed enough. I don't think that was an easy fight.
Possibly. I mean, there's Volkanovski, Yair Rodriguez. That's also now with Volkanovski. Is Volkanovski gonna, if he wins, is there anything left to prove?
Yeah.
So possibly, but yeah, you'd like to see him again. I mean, Max Holloway's still there. That could be. I mean, Hawaii versus Hawaii. That could be
an interesting next fight. Absolutely, I would love to see that. Actually,
I'd also love to see that, because Max is not gonna fight Volkanovski again. That chapter's closed.
Yeah.
So he has to either hope for Yair Rodriguez to beat Volkanovski,
or Volk to move up.
Yeah. So that's probably the next fight to make. So UFC matchmakers who will never see this, maybe, I don't know. Ige versus Max Holloway, please.
We want to see it.
Yeah. And then we had anything final to say about Ige versus
Nate the Train?
Nate.
I think Nate. I don't know. I think it was a tough fight for him, but it would be nice to see him come back. The support he gets, he's a skillful dude. I think that it was his first bout versus a ranked dude. I think that he can go far. He's still early in his career as well.
Fairly. I mean, he's 17-5, 17-6 after this. So I mean, he was fairly matched up with Ige, because Ige was 17-6 as well. So, but it just depends. I mean, he's had a long-ish stint in Russia where he had to be durable.
Yeah.
But he's got the potential. I mean, that's the thing. You got to realize the UFC is the number one organization in the world, and people can say what they will about the rankings, and if you're under the top 10, or you low end of the top 10, that there's not so many killers there in some divisions or whatever. But once you hit that top 15, that top 10 in the UFC, it is the best of the best.
Yeah.
So it could just be an adjustment thing for him, to have to adjust to that level. But I think he's got the skills. I think he's got the capabilities to rise up.
Especially after those 3 the tape he was on before this.
Yeah. 3 in a row.
Those were impressive fights. Yeah.
So let's see. Good luck to you, Nate. Let's see what happens with the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Then we had the local ultra favorite, Mike Malott versus Adam Fugit. Always the surname's always.
No, you got it right. I'm sure you got it right that time.
Yeah. So second round, I think it was. Yeah, second round submission quite early into it.
Yeah.
How did you see that one?
What a submission. I did not see that coming out of anywhere, and then it was so tight, immediately. Interesting. I think that Malott was definitely winning before that, though. Yeah, I don't like the dude for some reason. There's something about him that I don't like.
But because everybody likes him, so
I think he's like a puppy dog. He's
okay.
he's like a Labrador dude. I don't know, but it rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's skillful, dude. There's no denying his skills. I mean we were practicing that submission now recently in class again, because I've abandoned that for ages.
Yeah.
And then when he had it, I was like, hook the leg. And then I was like, yeah, when he got it, it was it was on. But it was tight before that in any event. But complete domination, I feel. Even in round 1, it was kind of a mismatch.
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah, he probably learned that from Uriah, that team alpha male, like you mentioned. Yeah, yeah. No, that is
No,
Mike
that's
Malott.
Ige. No,
Ah,
Ige's with team
okay,
Alpha Male.
okay, sorry guys.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
said it on the commentary. They were like, I think it was DC
Yeah.
when Ige went for a. I think did Ige go for a guillotine or a DOS? It's very similar. So it's a
I think
guillotine.
triangle choke. I think.
Was it a head and arm triangle? I forget the submission.
Okay,
Yes.
I
think I thought he jumped on a guillotine or a DOS, but he jumped on it, and then they're like, "That's an alpha male trait," So it's a Ige for sure was. Malott, what do you think next? I mean, they are pushing him quite a bit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So that Fugit wasn't ranked.
Don't think so.
It'd be nice to see him versus someone in the top 10. I think he's proved that he can handle it.
Yeah, but now it's like you come off a loss. Maybe after the next fight. There's a lot of interesting fights from unranked people and people with similar records that the matchmakers can make good fights from.
Yeah. Okay.
So, maybe someone that's unranked first and then step up into the top 15.
Okay.
Maybe into the top 10.
Yeah. Okay.
But these are all good fighters that are on this card. Are all good fights that we thought would be good fights.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, besides this one is a little bit of an outpassing
in
the main event, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira. So actually, we need to go back. So sorry, we both said Barriel in our prediction, so we both got that right.
Yeah.
I said Landwehr, I said Nate, you said Ige. So you got that one right.
Yeah.
We both said Malott, so we both got that one right at least. So we're 2-2. No, 2-1 actually.
Oof.
We're 2-2 now because I said Charles Oliveira and versus Beneil.
Yeah.
And that was 4 minutes into round 1. Got him with some solid shots.
Yeah, just like a flurry, and then Beneil like deer in the headlights. It was actually it was sad to see because like I think that Beneil was doing like good work on the top. Yeah, I don't know, like where does Beneil go from here? Like, I don't know, like his highest matchup other than that was Gamrot, and like I don't know, maybe it would be cool to see him versus someone else in the top 10. Maybe that's not a Charles Oliveira. But yeah. Let's see.
Look, it's going to probably be someone outside the top 5 because you got Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje because they're campaigning. Yeah. So Charles Oliveira is campaigning for the title, which I think he should get a title shot again. But
like an Armin.
Yeah, well, Gaethje and Poirier are campaigning as well, which they also have a right. I mean, to fight for the title if they get there. I don't think a title eliminator makes sense because then you're taking away momentum from either of the Charles or the winner of that other fight.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to be tied up. So who's Beneil going to fight then after that?
I think Armin. Armin would be a good one. Oh, it depends how Armin does in this next fight, which we'll also get to.
Yes, we'll also, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where Beneil goes to from here because he's also on the older side. He had a good run. Like, he really had a good run. Is it just the case that he'll get another chance? That's the first thing, I feel. I mean, you don't have such a good run and not get another chance off of one loss. Even a loss
to Charles.
To Charles, but as devastating as that. I mean, it's a fairly devastating loss, but you could see he looked overawed by the situation.
Absolutely.
And if there's one person that knows about comebacks, it's Charles Oliveira, and that's the person you lost to. So maybe that motivates him to come back.
Yeah. But also, like, I don't know. It was heartbreaking to see. I think that he must be pretty tough on himself because he didn't get started. Like, in the interviews leading up to this fight as well, you could hear him like talking about his game plan and what he should be doing. And he was like, he was just going on about his coaches telling him to like, it's like calm down. It's like be slow and like just follow the game plan. And it just like seems like when he was on top, he got too overzealous, and then that as soon as he was on the feet, he got rocked too quick. I think if he was a lot slower, it would have done him better.
Yeah, I think also it's a thing of like Oliveira went back and you can see his style change a little bit. He wasn't so tentative on his back foot kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was a lot more on the front foot. Also, to look at it with Beneil getting on top, Charles Oliveira did pull guard as well. And yes, Beneil did really well.
Yeah.
But I think Charles Oliveira which I thought before the fight would just have too much for him. And there's just a level that he would be too high
Yeah.
for Beneil, and it ended up being that way. But I also think Beneil had a bad night, mentally maybe, and then that transfers physically. But you can't have a bad night in the UFC, because then it really, really is a bad night. I mean, you
Yeah.
get hurt in there.
And against Charles Oliveira,
Who is having a top night.
Yeah. That was the best I've seen him. Like, I think that, when he got to his feet, I think that he decided, like, okay, I think he got to the ground because, like, he wanted to, like, test the waters, and he saw he wasn't going to get that much success. Then he, like, got straight to the feet, like, got into the clinch, and then just, like, did what he does best. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely changed something up, and I think he looks a lot more reinvigorated. So maybe it's the pressure of not having the title now. That pressure's off of him, but he wants it again. I think, as I say, he deserves it. Islam tweeted afterwards that there's levels to this, and kind of alluded to the fact that he's not going to let him challenge for the belt. Not that that's his decision.
Yeah.
But if you're Islam, who do you fight next? Because do you wait for Volkanovski? Because he's also said, no, I've beaten Volkanovski, kind of that attitude. So what does he want to do?
Yeah, that's true.
That's the fight to make for me.
I agree. I mean, like, he is the top contender. Like, he should fight. Yeah.
But Charles also had, you could see, like, even in Charles's defense, Charles' defenses when he was champion, he took a lot of damage, and he was in some very hairy positions and pulled submissions out and things like that. And this was just convincing.
Yeah, clean.
Super convincing. Not a title fight, but still, I mean, Beneil was on a massive tear.
I mean, but Beneil, when he was on the top, it was like, I don't think Charles was in that much danger, if I'm honest. Like, it was definitely like a very competitive, like, ground game. I mean, there were a few moments where I thought that Charles was going to pull off an ankle
heel hook.
Yeah, heel hook. Yeah.
But Beneil's really good on the ground, so that would have been tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we reckon Oliveira Magachev. Do you venture to say how that would go? It's early.
The two.
Yeah, if they did a second fight.
I think that if Charles fought like he did on Saturday, I think that he actually has the edge. After seeing like the chink in the armor with the Volkanovski fight, I think that there's now more of a blueprint in terms of how to beat this guy. I think that Charles, with the team that he has and like the adjustments that we can now see he's capable of making, I think that he can win. It's still tough to call that. And you, what do you think?
It's early days. I mean, you're right. Look, Charles and Oliveira looks super invigorated and I think super motivated. That's the most important thing. At first, I thought like Charles Oliveira would have a really good chance at beating Islam. But now the more I think about it, I think it's going to be really hard because the blueprint that Volkanovski had was, so Magachev Islam took Volkanovski to the ground and then basically went like seatbelt position, try to get to his back. But there's an interesting adjustment that they made where I forget what you call it, but it's something Craig Jones obviously taught Volkanovski. So before he got his second hook in, Magachev to take Volkanovski's back, Volkanovski, I forget exactly what they call it, but you pummel with your legs. So you stop that hook with your leg and then you turn into him. And that's how he got a lot of top position. In a sort of a scramble situation. Oliveira can learn that and definitely do that. But I just feel like Volkanovski's more compact and a little bit more strong and explosive on the ground that allowed him to do that, to then get on top and try to pass the guard and get the ground and pound like he did, especially in the last round against Islam. And it's going to be hard to knock Islam out standing and land clean punches. He's very evasive.
And to go into the clinch.
Yes, shockingly evasive was the word evaded me. That word was evasive. So it's going to be tough, but I'd still like to see it. I think, with the fight, you never know what can happen, and fight maths never makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be good to see Oliveira primed again, ready to go, maybe a second comeback.
Yeah, I mean, he also said that was like his worst performance. So maybe it's also like a mental game thing. I don't. Yeah, it would be interesting.
He could have had a night like Beneil had against him mentally, what we think he had.
Yeah.
So yeah, good performance by Charles, and then of course the main event. We both were wrong on one thing, so I'm going to apologize, Aldano. I didn't think you would make it past 30 seconds.
Absolutely. I mean, same. I like eat my words proudly. Like I'm actually a fan of Aldano now.
Yeah.
Like was really, I don't know. She has hard. I think that she never got started though. It was just like her hands were up. She was just trying to survive the whole time. I think that with her durability, if she made that fight closer, I think she could have had a lot more success.
Yeah, the commentary team and her coaches were like saying to her, just stop respecting Nunes so much.
Yeah.
The problem was that if she'd fought like her previous fights, it might have been a much closer fight. Obviously, I think Nunes saw that Aldana was a little bit tentative, so just played it safe and just went through, did enough work as she had to without risking too much. And in hindsight, we know now with her retiring that that's probably more likely because, just make sure you shore up the win.
Yeah.
And go out on a high. But yeah, the scorecards, I mean, it's still pretty dominant. I mean, the scorecards is 50-45, 50-44, 50-43, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, there's 2 10-8 rounds in there. It's a little bit harsh, but
I don't know, eh?
That last round, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's, again, this whole debate about what is a 10-8 and a 10-9, because you can just win and it's 10-9.
Yeah.
So then if you're dominant, like, you have to absolutely batter someone to get a 10-8. So maybe they should make a 10-7 round then.
Yeah. For the last one?
No, I mean, just if you completely dominate someone but you don't finish them.
Okay.
So then you have basically a close round that you win is 10-9.
Yeah.
A round that you dominate, but you not like. So I don't know if you've ever watched the Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard fight, the first one.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
It's ages ago. I mean, it's probably, I don't even remember what year it is, like 10 years or at least. So Frankie Edgar was the lightweight champion, and then he fought a guy called Gray Maynard. Now, Gray Maynard nickname was the Bully.
Okay.
Because he was a little bit big for the division, but then also his fighting style was a very bullying style. And Frankie Edgar was actually quite small. Frankie Edgar ended up fighting featherweight afterwards.
Yeah.
So Frankie Edgar got, and I bring this up because that was a 10-8 round. Like, that's a true classic 10-8 round. Frankie Edgar got dropped 3 times in the first round.
Yeah.
And you can visibly see his eyes just bubble up. But obviously got his wits about him again.
Yeah.
Survived, but it was like on the edge of being finished. The first one happened again. Maynard went in, rushed a little bit, almost finished him, but didn't. Happened and dropped him again.
Yeah.
3 times.
Hectic.
Now that's a 10-8.
Yeah.
That's like as close as it gets to finishing a fight without finishing a fight. So I'm saying that should be a 10-7, maybe for some new rules. A 10-8 could be what Amanda did now, and then the 10-9 is a very close round.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But that being said, the Aldana fight, I don't know. What do you think is going to happen next for Aldana?
No idea. I don't even know what's going to happen to the division, because Pena, they're going to have have well, it's not going to be interim. It's going to be a vacant title.
Yeah. Who would fight? I would like to see Aldana versus Pena.
That could be.
Yeah. I don't know. I was watching the highlight reel of Aldana. She just, like, I don't know, she's got so much potential, especially in Invicta. Like, her highlight reel there is actually, like, really impressive. Like, clean boxing.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like I said in the last show, I didn't see that much of Aldana. I just saw her in the Bet Correa fight, particularly. That was the first fight I ever saw of hers, and I was very unimpressed.
It's the big ones. She gets, like, a bit shell-shocked. Yeah.
But yeah, she was definitely scared. I mean, it is a catch-22 because it's widely considered the greatest female fighter of all time.
Yeah.
Rightly so. I still like Chris Cyborg. She did beat Chris Cyborg, but if you get into that situation, it's kind of like, I was having this discussion so when I started jiu-jitsu, I was having this discussion with brown belts and black belts about how to get better against them. And the number one thing they always say is, like, you must just go and roll your roll as if you were rolling with the same belt as you.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid and reckless and leave things out. Like, keep everything tight, but you mustn't try to, because if you mustn't try to give people too much respect when you're rolling with them. And I know fighting's different to jiu-jitsu because you can really get hurt in fighting.
Yeah.
But you are a fighter, so that's part and parcel of the game. So what I'm trying to say is, and this is what the coaches were saying, is like, she gave her too much respect.
Yeah.
And didn't get to fight her fight, and that made her look like she was freezing a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she would have increased her chances by just fighting her fight. If she got knocked out, if she lost, you're going to lose anyway by holding back.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to see her go for it more. Maybe she does it if they fight. They have her and Juliana Pena. If you have Pena to have fought Nunes, and then Pena got injured and you have Aldana, those are the two people that logically are next.
Yes, absolutely.
So it'd be good to see that.
Yeah. And that third fight, Pena versus Nunes 3, we're never going to see it.
No, it would have been a perfect send-off for Nunes, but nevertheless, it was a good send-off. But I wonder what now is going to happen to the 145 division. The women's 145. Because if you think back years ago, like when Ronda Rousey was on the top, the reason it took... Well, no, there was no 145. Ronda Rousey was 135 champion.
Yeah.
And Chris Cyborg was campaigning... Everyone was campaigning for Cyborg to come to the UFC. Cyborg to the UFC to fight Ronda Rousey. But Cyborg fought at 145. So what happened then, they said, cool, Cyborg come to the UFC, but at 135. So if you go, there's a video on...
And the weight cut is
Did you see her video on the weight cut where she's crying in the bath?
Yes, yeah.
That's to get to 135. So they made it so then people like Cyborg particularly could fight at 145. And now...
Yeah.
Could be going again.
Dana was asked on the after retirement, and he said... Yeah, I don't know. He didn't give a definitive answer either. He said like they got like drawing board. They're gonna figure it out.
There was talk of it before this of scrapping it. I saw, but then, he didn't give a definitive answer.
Yeah.
Usually though, with Dana White, like if you look at when they asked about the 125 men's division, when Ariel Helwani kept asking and asking and asking, Dana's like, "I will figure it out. We'll talk about it." When he doesn't give a definitive answer, most of the time it probably means no. Unless he doesn't really have all the answers, and then he'll say. But he pretty much speaks his mind if it's a yes or. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the 145.
Yeah,
division.
I hope they keep it. I don't know. I think it's I think it's the most interesting weight class for women, if I'm honest. That or 130. I mean, 125 is also really interesting.
Yeah,
because you get like
Valentina.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a fight I would have liked to seen again. The third fight with her and Nunes.
Yeah.
The second one was so close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Split decision. So, but nevertheless, Amanda Nunes, enjoy your retirement. Thank you for all of the great fights that you gave us and all the great moments. I think it's a good opportunity for us now to
pay homage.
Yeah. I don't know if we should make this a weekly segment. Let us know if we should make a sort of a top 5 thing, a weekly segment. But I think the top 5 performances of Amanda Nunes in her MMA career.
Yeah.
So would you like to go first, or?
Yeah, sure thing. So number 5, it's got to be, I think, Sarah McMahon. I think that was her first challenge. I think that's like in terms of her UFC career, she had, I think it was 2 fights, and then she lost to, I forget the name. And then it was someone else, also like a lower name, but Sarah McMahon was the first like challenge that she was given. She just rose to it. I mean, it was second round TKO, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, really impressive. And then, okay, 4, it's got to be Ronda Rousey. She's got to be on the list. And I put it lower because like we didn't really see that much of Amanda. But it was just like to think back like how monumental a fight that was in terms of like Ronda Rousey was the biggest name in the UFC. And yeah, she just like dismantled her in like 30 seconds. It was crazy. Yeah. And then 3rd has got to be Miesha Tate. I think that like the first championship that she got, also like very decisive victory, like just took Miesha apart. Like Miesha's like face was just like opened up, and then like that submission, I mean like so well deserved and like such a like long time coming. And then 2nd has got to be Juliana Pena 2. I think that the first round, the first matchup, I mean for whatever reason she lost, like I think it was like maybe a bad camp, like for whatever reason, like Julia Pena was the better fighter that night. And for a champion to come back that strong and like immediately win, and like throw Juliana like off and like fight southpaw for the first time in her career and like be so successful, like I don't know, and that late in her career was just like so impressive. And then number 1's got to be Chris Cyborg. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at Chris Cyborg's her resume, she's got 2 losses. The one was the debut, and then the other one's Amanda Nunes, and she's still successful. Like, and that just looking at like her fights, you just see like all these green wins, and then like yeah, I don't know. Then this 1 minute loss to Amanda Nunes, that was like a complete dominance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure like so much of that win and so much of Amanda's wins, like similar with Aldana, was just her getting in these people's heads, and she's just a puzzle you can't solve. It's just like you can't grapple with her, you can't stand with her. Like
power's a thing.
Yeah,
Speed's a thing.
Yeah, it's just like she's the best, you know. Yeah, so like huge fan. Okay, but yeah, what are your top 5?
I've got a very similar top 5 to you. I think we've got one different.
Okay.
And I think our order's a little bit different. So I've also got, at number 5, I've gone for Ronda Rousey. The reason why it's at number 5, it has to be in there, like you say. The reason why it's at number 5 is I think Ronda Rousey's aura was still there, but it was diminished a little bit after the Holly Holm fight. But she was also on her comeback trail. So it was still a potentially difficult fight for Nunes because you never knew if Ronda Rousey was going to make the adjustments she needed to make, work on her striking, do all of that. And she ended up retiring Ronda Rousey. So that has to be there. In at number 4, I've gone for Juliana Pena 2. Similar reason to what you say as well. So just to be able to, again, whatever reason she lost, after so many wins, after being on such a tear, losing and coming back and winning in such a dominant fashion. So, I mean, even if you look at people like Kamaru Usman, who had such a long dominant run, he didn't come back after that, lost to Leon Edwards and lost again. So to be able to do that, definitely number 3. Number 4. I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 3, I've gone for Holly Holm. I think the manner in which she beat Holly Holm, even though Holly Holm also had like a bit of a stop-start run just before that, the manner to be able to beat her with a head kick is so impressive and shows her versatility, shows her skill, and really shows her dominance to be able to do something like that. So that's why I've got that above Juliana Pena. Number 2, I've gone for Miesha Tate as well. It was UFC 200. It was the whole big moment. She bloodied her in the first, like it was only a 1-round fight, but she bloodied her and managed to submit Miesha Tate, who's known for her grappling. Miesha Tate also was on a 5-fight win streak before that, which we mustn't forget. So she was able to, like Holly Holm, beat her at her own game. And that's why for me it's at number 2. Just the magnitude of the situation, the magnitude of the fight, and Miesha Tate being on such a tear. Got to be number 2. Number 1, of course, Chris Cyborg. Of course it has to be. Chris Cyborg, like you say, ultra dominant. I mean, Chris Cyborg was unbeaten for 13 years before that. So her first fight she lost, came in there. I had Chris Cyborg winning. Okay. I mean, I remember watching that and then I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have Amanda Nunes in that GOAT conversation, not just because of beating Cyborg, but how she beat Cyborg.
Yeah.
And like you say, Cyborg since has gone in and won all of her fights. And Cyborg is the closest thing to a Grand Slam champion for MMA that you get. Cyborg also went and did boxing afterwards. I mean, Cyborg was just the scariest female fighter and probably still is the scariest female fighter of all time, even though she lost to Nunes. And to me, Cyborg is still up there in the GOAT conversation. I think Nunes maybe just pips it because she beat her and because most of it was in the UFC.
Yeah.
But just the way she beat Cyborg in that fight was just incredible. And that really stamped her in that conversation, gave her the 2 belts. Everything just came together so perfectly. Definitely has to be number 1.
Yeah.
Chris Cyborg.
Yeah.
So that's our top 5. Let us know if you want us to do that on a weekly basis. And let us know what type of top 5s you want to see. We've done a bit of a GOATs, top 4, top 5 GOATs.
Yeah.
Dodgy decisions. So I think this is a good segment that we could have for the show going forward. Okay, so we're going to do what we do most weeks. We're going to review an upcoming fight card. Again, only the main card. This is the UFC fight night for Vettori, Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. 6 fights on the main card. Prelims, early prelims would really take it over the top. But the first one we got Raoni Barcelos versus Miles Jones.
Yeah. Who do you have?
Good fight, dude.
Yeah.
Good fight. It's
Yeah.
tough to call this one, and honestly, I went with Miles Johns. I said Jones. I went with Miles Johns for
Okay.
this one. I just think he's gonna. It is a close matchup again, and I love that. I love these fight nights and some of the fights we've been previewing, and reviewing in the last while because there's such potentially interesting fights, and I'd love to see the betting odds for these as well because to me it's very closely matched, this one particularly.
Yeah, I do agree.
But I think John's just gonna have a little bit too much.
Okay. I have the other way. I have Jaomi.
Rayoni.
Yeah. So but I think he reminds me of like I don't want to say younger because he's probably around the same age, but of a Jose Aldo. I mean, like they both have like a similar fighting style. I think he's like really good with grappling. He's coming off a loss now, but the win before that was really impressive. Yeah, I don't know. I think he takes it.
He could. I mean, it's a close call. It's really tough. Like you have to pick one. And again, I'm glad that we've got opposite or opposing opinions. But I mean, I could see it. I think they've I just think Johns has a little bit too much. What Barcelos is good at doing against his opponents. I think Johns can nullify enough and possibly do better.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a split decision or a 29-28 unanimous decision, or that it goes completely the other way. I would definitely not be surprised.
Yeah. Yo, but I mean, what, like, that's in sixth spot. That's
it opens up, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It opens up the main card.
Yeah.
So it's a good card. I mean, these fight nights are starting to get really like they used to be sort of filler cards, but they're really starting to come along. Then we got the next fight at lightweight, Manuel Torres versus Nicolas Mota. What you got?
I got Torres.
You got Torres.
El Loco. I think that Torres El Loco. I think that like I think he gets better every fight. He was on the Contender Series. I think that like he has a few wins. I think he lost to Jackson last. But I think he gets better every fight. I think like at this point in a career, I mean, when he's that young, I think at that point in someone's career, you learn so much. And I think that there's enough for him to learn to like have so much success. He's got so much range, and he's like good at controlling his range. He's like, he straight kicks up the middle. Like that's powerful. Like, and if you can use that more to manage the range, because he's still quite close. Yeah. Like I think that he'll have so much success.
I think you're right, and I think that's his key to victory. I just wonder though, with Mota, if Mota can get it to the ground, I think he might have enough to do it, and that's why I'm going for Mota. And I think Mota probably likely won't be a favorite, but that's okay. I think, again, Torres is very dynamic, and Torres is very good at striking.
Yeah,
but I don't know if anything can happen, but I'm not too sure if Mota's good enough at evading strikes to maybe not get KO'd.
Yeah, and at last fight, he put the guy out super quick. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a tough fight to call. It's like also really exciting.
It's really exciting. Matchmakers, you guys have done an amazing job as you always do. But this card particularly, oh man, it's such a tough one to call. Again, you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And I went for Mota.
Okay, I respect that. I mean,
and Torres too. I mean, in your decision, and again, we're going opposing decisions.
Yeah,
so
it's good to see.
We might be 1-1, we might be 0-2. Yeah. So 2-0, who knows? Yeah. But that's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to watch this. The next one is Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. What you got?
I have Almeida winning, but that's probably the toughest one for me to call. Just because like. I don't know. I think there's a lot of momentum with the Brazilian fans right now and fighters, particularly after the UFC 289. I also think that like last fight, it was a really good, but like really strong fight. I think he's got a lot of power, and him in the Contender Series as well was just very impressive. Who do you have winning?
I can see why Almeida, and I wanted to pick Almeida, but I think. Even though Sabatini's got a worse record than Almeida, he's 17-4, and I think Almeida's 14-1, something like that.
But he did have that 4-fight win streak. I do remember. I mean, like it's convincing. Or like it's a tough Okay, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, go. No
I
worries.
yeah, I mean, like that's it's probably the toughest one to call. I think it's gonna be very exciting.
I actually think, I think Sabatini might just be dynamic enough. He's good enough on the ground, good enough in his striking to get it done. It's just the way that he fights versus the way that Almeida fights. And I hope I'm wrong with Almeida, because I'd like to see him go further and do well. But I feel like a hype train on him a little bit. But yeah, I could be proven wrong again. It's one of those. Each one of these fights, I know there's not one fight besides the second last fight that I can definitively say, like, I feel confident in what I've picked, because these fights can go either way.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
I pick Almeida to win. I would like Pat to win. I think Pat, I can just see, like, I think he can do really well in the UFC with his skill set. I think that, like, I think this is weirdly enough, it's a tough fight for him if you just look at that division. But
yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting one. Then we've got Armen Petrosian versus Christian Leroy Duncan.
Armen from Armenia. There's two of them on this card. I think I have Duncan. I have Duncan.
Yeah. I think actually there's two fights that I'm pretty certain about. This is the other one. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this one?
I think Duncan, I'm really excited to see him fight again, because that he won his debut, but that was like a bit unfortunate with
the injury.
Yeah, with the injury. But yeah, I think that he like demonstrated his skills really well before the injury. And then with Armen, I think I don't know, like he's got like a brawling mentality. He's got he's got power. But I think that versus someone that's as technical as Duncan, as much as I think Duncan is technical, I haven't seen that much of him. I mean, he's still early days in the UFC. But yeah, I think that it's quite a cool matchup to see, where it's someone that's going to be like swinging for the fences and someone that's just going to like piece them. But I do think he's going to piece them apart.
I also think so. I'd even ventured to say it's a bit of a feeder fight for Duncan. Okay. I think only because of his strike force record. The UFC, we still need to see him test in the UFC, but I think there's high hopes for him. Especially now with the sort of resurgence of the scene in the UK. So there's high hopes, I feel. And I feel like it's going to be skill versus brawler, like you say. So I skill most of the time wins. So I don't see this one going very well for Armen, but
his last fight as well, I think that was like, it could have gone either way. I think he won unanimous decision, but like that fight was a split.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, but to me, I mean,
it might have been a split decision, actually. Sorry, it might have been.
I think it should have been.
Yeah, if it wasn't, it should.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I do think I have Duncan winning. Yeah.
Then we've got Armen Sarukian.
Yeah, another Armen.
Surnames. Yeah. And Joaquim Silva. What are you thinking?
This is actually like, I'm really excited for this one. I think I do have Sarukian. I think that like he's such a strong contender. He's at number 8 now.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And I think people are just ducking him. I think that he's good. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where he goes, and I think that it's just like, it's a cool fight to see. I think it's so cool that number 8 is fighting. I think, what's the name of the
Silva?
Yeah, sorry. Silva. He's like 43 right now.
Cool.
And that's really cool. Like, like, what a badass. I don't know. Or like both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also gone for Armen. I think the last while his losses have come to like Islam and to Gamrot.
Yeah.
And Gamrot's.
Yeah, I mean, one of like so underrated at that division.
Yeah. Gamrot. He was unlucky in his
with Beneil.
Yeah, he was very unlucky with Beneil. Gamrot's someone I think people are going to sleep on quite a bit. But yeah, I think Armen's just too strong. He's too dynamic. It's too well rounded.
Yeah.
This is the second fight that I was saying where there's this one I'm like,
you're fairly certain.
I'm very confident in these two. So it's both are Armen fights. So Duncan to win the one arm and then beat the one arm Petrosian, and then Sarukian to beat Joaquim.
That being said, I don't think it's an easy fight. I think that like Silva, he's got a skill set that's like quite challenging for Armin. I mean, yeah.
It's all gonna depend. So I've just gone again, if you just look at the way that they fight.
Yeah.
Sarukian just seems to be more dynamic, seems to be more stronger. I think they both do things well.
Yeah.
But it's like in those little battles where the first clinch, you're like, oh, he's a little bit stronger than me. He's got the upper hand here. And then in the exchange, when you go out, maybe he's faster than you.
Yeah.
Maybe he's first to the punch. Just those little things that add up.
Yeah.
That start to like break your will.
Yeah.
And I think Sarukian's going to have too much of that. But I mean, anything's possible in a fight. But these two, I'm almost sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair. I do see why you said that. Yeah.
Oh, so we both got Armin for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one's a bit tougher to call. This is a bit of an interesting matchup, which is the main event. Which just so happens to be Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier. What are you saying for this one?
I don't know how to call this. This is like it's almost like to draw like a rather strange comparison. It's like Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Like I think that there's someone with like power in their hands that can end this fight at any point, and that's Cannonier. But like Marvin, if he just takes him to the ground, like
makes it really ugly.
Yeah, like he'll definitely win, I think. Especially if he like steers clear of like hooks, then like he'll win. But yeah, Cannonier at any point, if he like lands like one clean hook, like left hook, like I think that's out.
Yeah, I think it's the story of the fight. I've got Marvin winning as well. I think he's got one way to win, and that's to make the fight ugly, really, really ugly. I don't know. It's just I don't like the way he fights, and it pains me a little bit to say. Yeah, and I mean even against Adesanya, it was like he didn't have a chance to win, but Adesanya was like struggling to put damage. It just doesn't like make you, you don't feel inspired to watch the fight. He's skillful. I don't take away from his skill. I mean, like what he did with Paulo Costa as well, he just completely dominated Paulo Costa. But I don't know, I'm not that big a fan of his. It's very funny like watching him against Costa when they had the whole like, are you drunk, and that kind of thing. Was really funny. But I just I mean he's high ranked for a reason. But the reason why I bring this up is because if he wins, it's kind of like, if either of them win, what happens? They're not going to be in the title picture just yet, I don't think. So what happens then? It doesn't mean they shouldn't fight. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't try to win and keep winning their fights. It's just kind of
like, what are the matchups? What
are the matchups after that? Because you've seen Cannonier versus Strickland. Maybe then they put Khamzat against one of these guys.
That would be interesting.
Then it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because then, it's battle of attrition with him and Vettori, and even to an extent Cannonier. But I think Cannonier, I mean, against Strickland as well, yes, he's got the power, but, Strickland was a split decision.
That's Strickland.
And that's Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
So I think Vettori will drown him kind of, and I think Vettori should win. Should be a unanimous decision. Yeah, I feel.
No, I same. Jared, him versus Izzy. I really enjoyed that fight. I think that like if he can get Marvin scared enough, like that he can't get started, I think that he can have more success. But I'm going with Marvin.
I think Marvin by unanimous decision as well. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think is going to happen at UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Cannonier. Comment your predictions down below. Let's see what scores you get. We're going to see in the next episode exactly what each of us got in, each of us get. We've been I think we've been tying the last while pretty much. I think we tied 9. We tied at UFC 39. We tied in the Cara France Albazi one as well. So this one we've got so many different predictions. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What happens in this one?
No, I'm not going to say Cannonier. I'm not going to.
No. If you want, I mean, you can. Now's the time. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I'm in the spirit of disagreement. I'm gonna go with Jared Cannonier.
Okay.
I think he's a wild card. I think that he
Mm.
can get it done.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jared.
And then after that, if he wins, what do you think is next for him?
Khamzat. I think that's a really cool fight.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Khamzat. So, just to segue to something, Khamzat and Usman is not a done deal. You know, Dana came out after the last thing. I saw something about him saying it's not a done deal just yet. So hey, I don't know what's happening with Khamzat. Like, why there's no fights for him? He hasn't fought for ages,
and he was so active. Like,
super active.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, he was just like he was always fighting. I mean, like he fought 3 times.
He fought a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a visa issue.
You think?
I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if there's a thing, you know, with Russia. Although he's Swedish, so it shouldn't be. He's Russian, but he's Swedish, so he competes for Sweden. So it shouldn't be an issue. I wonder what happened there. I mean, maybe he's holding out for a title fight and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go risk it.
Yeah.
Especially not at 185.
Yeah, he hasn't fought that much there.
No, did he even fight 185 when he was in Brave? I actually don't know. I'm gonna go back and check. I know for sure in the UFC it's all been 170. So, well, the last fight 170-ish, yeah, somewhere between 170 and 185. Yeah. So that can be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I'd like to still see him and Usman. I'd just like to see that. But he's gonna have fun fights wherever he goes. Old Khamzat.
If that doesn't happen, if that fight doesn't happen, like Jared Cannonier can slip in with either, or he hasn't fought Usman.
No, they're different weight classes.
Yeah. No, of course.
Yeah, Cannonier's 85 and Usman 170.
Yeah, that would be an interesting. If
Khamzat Costa though, I want to see that.
Okay.
This Paulo Costa.
I do like to see Costa get pieced up.
Look, looking back on it, if you look at what Vettori did against Costa, I know Costa said what did Costa had all sorts of excuses and he didn't want to make weight, and I don't think he was fully focused or whatever, but Vettori actually, I mean, was pretty dominant in that fight, and Khamzat can, if he wants, he can just wrestle it to the ground.
Yeah.
So, but it would be interesting, you know, if Costa could actually keep it standing. Ooh.
Yeah, I think that Khamzat still wins standing.
You think so?
I think so. I think he'll, if in the first 2 rounds. I think if it stays standing for longer than 2 rounds,
blitzes him.
Yeah.
Possibly. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Khamzat, Usman, Paulo Costa. Some interesting fights coming up. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, he just needs to fight again.
That's the thing. He does just need to fight again, be active, because he's kind of, for whatever reason, don't know if it's health related or what. I hope it's not health related, but he's been hanging back.
Maybe he just can't make 170. I mean, if Usman's the fight to make, you know, like, I mean, why? You know, why not just go to 185?
I thought that was the plan, like Alex Pereira. So who knows? We're going to find out soon enough. I don't know. Let's hope it's soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with everybody. Let us know what your thoughts are on the topics that we've discussed today. As always, please share this far and wide. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And please have a look for our links down below to Patreon and PayPal if you'd like to contribute and help the channel out. It would really help us a lot to just make the show better, bring you better guests for the podcast, and jack up the show for the talk show portion as well. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, and have a good week. Cheers, everybody.